Okay guys, just reporting in um, basically to say that my attempts at making a linear actuator or the linear actuator work and lift the cube have completely failed. There are different reasons for this. For a start, I underestimated the power of the motor. The motor can't even lift the platform that I made. I was going to cut this and attach a platform for it, but even with this weight on and using the wood that I've attached to the rack, the teeth, the motor's incapable of creating lift for that, much less a cube. It definitely won't be able to lift a cube. It can move it across the desk, this is very smooth, but when we're talking about having a weight coming down on the motor or coming down on the rack, let's say, it definitely isn't able to move that. On top of that, although I'm tried to make this mechanism as accurately as I could, there are definitely some tolerances and some limits that I had when it came to cutting materials like the wood and this plastic to size. So there, when the motor starts moving the gears and the linear gear, which is called a rack, when that moves, it creates a little bit of it doesn't move very precisely. So sometimes the actuator would work properly and go through all of the moves required, but sometimes it would lock up or seize up and not be able to move. We can't have that unreliability in the system. We need to be able to, we need the platform to be able to work properly every time. So I'm going to have to address this again. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. Probably going to have to do a bit of research. I've got a different motor. It's a motor that comes with the Arduino Uno kit, and I think that's got enough power to be able to lift the cube, but that will require a complete redesign. So I'm going to have to junk this. The first thing I'm going to do is test that the motor can actually lift the cube. This time I've learnt my lesson, but just wanted to report in that that's the situation at the moment. In the meantime, there are still other things that I can do. I can still obviously use the mechanism. I can put the cube in by hand. I still got to test some solves. I've got to do the code for the buttons. So there's lots and lots of things for me to do to perfect this. But for now, this particular part of the project I'm going to call a failure, and I'm going to have to revisit it with a bit more preparation this time and a bit more planning. So until the next video. Thought I'd add, there's one thing that I did overlook completely as well. When I first dismantled the printer and was going to use the motor, I was considering using the rack and pinion system, the gears and the stepper motor as a pen plotter, and that, I think that would have been okay, because the pen plotter works, the part of the pen plotter I was going to use it for makes horizontal movements. In actual fact, all of it makes horizontal, most of it makes horizontal movements along the X and Y axes. And that's fine, because this particular system was created as was taken from the printer scanner bed, for scanning documents. It was mounted underneath a glass plate, and it would go back and forth scanning an A4 piece of paper. And the only weight it really carried, well, it carried itself, which is a very tiny motor, because this would move up and down, and it also had the I don't know what it is. It's like a light bar that's used to highlight the page or make the page very bright, the page that it's trying to scan. And of course, that was all horizontal. Now, what I've been doing is I've turned it vertical, not only vertical, but put extra weight on it. These cubes, relatively speaking, they're not that light. This one isn't that light actually. And then on top of that, the platform, and I had the rack, and that was attached to a bit of wood, which relatively speaking isn't that light. So I didn't take that into consideration. So that in itself was an issue. So really the first thing I should have done was check to see if the motor was even capable of lifting all those things vertically, if it had the torque to do so. So lesson learned. As they say, hindsight is 20/20, don't they? So these are things I'll be able to consider the next time I try to do this.